Hi guys, it's Debbie from healingfrombpd.org. Have you ever had one of those days where you just thought you were going to lose it emotionally? I mean, it may just be one thing or it may have been multiple things stacked up on top of each other and you just got to your breaking point and began to feel yourself losing it, began to notice the emotions getting really intense, and potentially you're about to do something that's either self-sabotaging, self-harming, that kind of thing. Well, I had one of those days today for sure. And the reason why there might be a slight smile on my face is because had I not gone through DBT and had I not been someone that is currently in DBT and going every week, and that's Dialectical Behavior Therapy, this day I'm pretty certain would have gone much differently. And the reason I know that is because similar circumstances have happened in my life before. And before I had these skills in my toolbox, I would self-sabotage. So I'm going to give you the story in a nutshell. I'm also going to post a link to the blog post that this is related to, which will include more details on certain items as well as coping mechanisms and a worksheet that you can print out that contains the core DBT skills. It's sort of like a Cliff Notes or cheat sheet for the DBT skills, which I also showed in my DBT binder video. Okay guys, sorry my cats are playing with the tripod. Alright boys, come on, if you want to be in the film, get up here. In the meantime, I'll tell you that today was a pretty stressful day at work. I already felt a little bit vulnerable because I was anxious because my boss had asked me to facilitate the staff meeting in his absence. He's on vacation. And other than one other female coworker who I blogged about this past weekend, the one I went bowling with, other than her, it's all men on the staff, and they can get a little bit rowdy, and you know, it's not always the most professional place to work. So I had my hands full to begin with, and I had to be a little firmer than I usually am. And so it kind of made me uncomfortable that I had to use my interpersonal effectiveness skills to, handle that situation, because it's still a kind of a rough area for me, but I've been practicing. So that was already on the table. Next, what happens is one of my coworkers, and this is not the first time, showed up to work intoxicated. He was clearly drunk. You could smell it. He was acting that way. Nobody did anything about it. Nobody confronted him. And I certainly felt really uncomfortable and didn't feel in a position to confront him. It was just so awkward. Can you imagine? And so during the meeting, he starts becoming belligerent with other colleagues and just really being demeaning and verbally abusive, and even like kind of puffing up to where it looked like he might begin to get physical. And I just stood up, and there was another person there, let's just say his name is Richie, and I said, "Hey Richie, I need to talk to you," to kind of diffuse the situation and call him over. But inside I was shaking. It was like, I have had enough in my life of drunk, belligerent, verbally abusive men that I never thought, or I hope that I would never encounter that again and have to be in that space with someone who's behaving that way. Least of all at work, right? Where it's supposed to be a safe place. So I immediately felt all these things coming up in my body and in my mind. Really upsetting, as you can imagine. I posted about it on my Facebook page because it really just got me worked up. I had the option to leave. I didn't. I had the option to keep it to myself. I didn't. One of my colleagues came to talk to me. I ended up getting kind of tearful and emotional, which I felt embarrassed about because I feel like I'm supposed to be really put together and kept together in a business environment, and it's been a goal of mine to present myself that way. Luckily, this guy is a really nice guy, and he said, we have different emotions that come up at work. Sometimes we're happy and joyful, sometimes other emotions come up, and I just thought that was really cool of him. But yeah, it was upsetting. So in the past, in situations like that, because I haven't had the exact same situation come up, but there have been other just really emotionally triggering things that have happened in a workplace environment. Sometimes because of outside people, other times because of my internal reaction to something that's happened. So maybe to other people it looks like nothing really happened and why is she so upset, but something triggered. Do you know what I mean? In the past, I have gotten up and quit jobs. I have gotten up and said, I can't handle this, I'm unstable, and I would go to either the emergency room or the psychiatric clinic for the, the crisis unit. I would come home and self-medicate with Ativan. I might do something else that's self-sabotaging or harmful in another way. This time, though, I'm glad to report, I'm actually proud, because even though, honestly, I'm still kind of tense in my body. Like, I can feel it in my jaw and in my neck and in my shoulders and my back. Like, everything's still a little bit tense from this morning. But I can honestly tell you that by applying the skills, I was able to meet a couple of really important goals in DBT. And one of them is to not make the situation any worse. And another one was to think about my long-term goals. So how would my short-term reaction in this situation affect my long-term goals of keeping and maintaining this job, self-respect, keeping the respect of my colleagues, and the relationships with my colleagues. So that all helped. And I got into all of the things that I did to calm myself down and get through the episode. But there are after effects. You guys know this, right? It's like when you get really anxious or really upset, sometimes you just want to go to sleep because you're so exhausted or you feel it in your body. So I'll have to do some self-care tonight around that. Something soothing for sure. Involving my cats and loving with them, I'm pretty positive. I just bought them a new scratcher toy, and if you notice me looking away sometimes, I'm just really pleased watching them getting into that and enjoying it. So that's what's going on there. But yes, so the other thing I did want to share is there is a DBT skill that you can use if the moment gets to be too much for you. And I did recall this during the situation. And what you do is, if a person is really upsetting you and the content of what they're saying or doing is really upsetting, but you're unable to leave the situation for whatever reason, you start to notice things that you can and become mindful of other things that you can see, hear, touch, feel, anything else in your environment. So you can start to go like this to your pants while they're talking, be like, I feel the soft material. You say it to yourself, of course. I smell someone heating up popcorn in the microwave. Or you can be looking right at the person and thinking, receding hairline, button-down shirt, khaki pants. Like, you just bring yourself into the moment in a different way, focusing on things that aren't going to trigger you, and it really can be helpful in work. So I learned that in DBT class. And, we just have to take care of ourselves. It's not always easy. These days are extremely challenging when things like this happen, but we can get through them. And it doesn't have to mean the end of our world. It doesn't have to mean that we have to do something to totally make it worse or end up in a crisis mode. That was my pattern for years, and that's what I did over and over and over again. So I get that, and if that's where you're at, I totally have compassion for you, because that was my life. But now I am able to say, what do I need to do right now to not make this worse? What do I need to do to gain control and not let this get completely just haywire? And that's what I did today. So enjoy the post, and if you have any questions or any comments, I'm always happy to read them. And I thank you for watching and reading, and I appreciate your support today too. I got lots of feedback and comments and love via my Facebook and Twitter pages, and I'll put the links down below in case you're interested. And that's about it this time. So thanks again, and I will see you on my blog and in the next video. Bye-bye.